Hello, and thank you all for being here. We are a delegation from the United States of America, which has come in a bipartisan manner, which means it's both Democrats and Republicans, which I think is extremely important, so that the people of Palau know that the United States Congress is together and locked in with reference to the significance and the importance of Palau. You know, we've had the opportunity since we've been here to visit the island. We went to see the Rock Islands. We also rode around the Big Island. Mr. Representative Meyer had the opportunity to visit Palau, and we had some significant meetings with virtually every minister. We met with the Minister of Culture, the Minister of Energy, the Minister of, what am I missing? Agriculture, State, so Attorney General. So we,
National Security,
Finance, National Security. So we met with just about every government official, along with the President, of course. It's not by accident that we're here. When we decided to make a trip here, we decided specifically to come to Palau because we know of the long-standing and special relationship that we have as a freely associated state. Palau is a trusted United States partner and a champion of the rules-based order here in the Pacific. The United States is committed to Palau's security and economic development. We want our military here for security purposes, but we're not here just for military. We understand, I want to be clear that we're not here just because, for China. We all know the concerns with China, but we're here for the people of Palau, who we've gotten to meet while we were here and talk to. I was walking the streets and I met, and talked to a number of the people. And one of the things that I think, with all the beauty of the land and all the beauty that we found here, the best part that I found, the real beauty, the people of Palau, who were all speaking as I walked the streets, saying hello and really interested in where we are with the United States. We also want to make sure that that we recognize the importance of demonstrating our commitment to the region, including by engagement with your government and governments in the region. Believe in regional, trying to work with all the Pacific Islands. And the fact that the Biden administration's dedication to the Pacific Islands was underscored by the White House having the first ever U.S. Pacific Island Country Summit, which was hosted in Washington, D.C., where I first met your president when he was there. We had a conversation because after leaving the White House and meeting with the president, we had a bipartisan lunch meeting with Nancy Pelosi. And I had the first chance to meet him there, and made a commitment that I'd be coming to the region, and here we are. Look, what we are focused on is making sure that we're building a stronger relationship with the Pacific. The United States is going to show up. The executive branch has shown that they have an interest. The United States Congress has shown that they have an interest. And speaking with the president, he talked about a conversation that he had with Senator Graham. And then he also talked to members on the House side. And there are indications, there are a bill that's being negotiated now about some specifics that he asked for. And he spoke to Senator Graham about it. It's in what we call the NDAA, being negotiated. We're supporting it also from the House side. So it shows that there's togetherness not only with Democrats and Republicans in the House, but also in the Senate. That's where we're showing how we are really focused on trying to make sure that we're working together. I'm joined by, and I want them to have, you know, a minute or so to say something, and then we're going to open it up to questions. But I'd like to allow Representative Peter Meyer, who is part of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, but he's the lead Republican on this trip. And I think it's appropriate that you hear from him also.
Yeah, well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to everyone who's gathered here today. This has been an absolutely inspiring and wonderful trip. And as the chairman mentioned, you know, this is a bipartisan delegation. We recognize that our relationship between the United States and Palau, that knows no party, that is something that transcends a lot of the partisanship that we see in the United States today. But we also recognize that our commitment and our engagement has not historically been what it needs to be. Our histories and our futures are linked. As Chairman Meeks mentioned, I had the opportunity to go with many of our military liaisons to Peleliu yesterday, and just seeing that the land there, the battlefield, was incredibly emotionally impactful. It's a place where thousands of Americans had died, where 10,000 Japanese soldiers had died, and it is a reminder of the type of violence and conflict that we want to make sure never again occurs in the Pacific region. And so to the extent that we can be working hand in hand on economic development, on climate change, but also on protecting the security, stability, and prosperity of the region, you will find strong partners in us. And when it comes to also making sure that in the future we are learning from the mistakes of the past on disengagement and being strong partners with the people of Palau. We do have our strong expectations and work on that end. Thank you.
Thank you. And let me just add that, you know, it's important, I think, from all of us that the Pacific Islands and Palau are now gaining the high level attention and advanced capabilities of the United States of America and its government. And that we want to extend that also to the private sector. And that as a result, there's an $810 million in expanded programs will go a long way, we believe, in helping the Pacific Island countries. And that is on top of the over $1.5 billion provided to the Pacific Islands over the past decade. And it's important that our assistance is aligned with the needs of people, which is why our visit is so important here. And one of the members that are here who probably, when you talk about the continental United States of America, her state is the closest to Palau, and that's Representative Sarah Jacobs from California.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you all for joining us here today. As the chairman said, I represent California, I represent San Diego, so I share a Pacific Ocean with Palau and with the Pacific Islands, and I know that the United States has always been a Pacific power, and that our national security is intrinsically linked to making sure that there is a free and open Indo-Pacific. And so much of that hinges on the partnership that we have with Palau. As a representative of San Diego, I've also seen firsthand the amazing contribution that Palauans have made to the United States military community, and we appreciate their service and sacrifice, and we're working to make sure that Palauans have the recognition and honor that they deserve from serving in the military.
Other Republican member that is with us, he's on the Transportation and Agricultural Committee, Representative Rodney Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm so excited that Chairman Meeks allowed us to come here. I came here wanting to learn about the strategic relationship between your country and ours. And I can tell you that the United States has a lot to learn from Palau. We've seen how governing and traditions come together, how agreeing on how to solve problems is a lot less public partisanship like we have in the United States. But I've also learned that the resources that Chairman Meeks just talked about, the resources in the billions of dollars that our countries share, they can't get caught up in the bureaucracy of the United States. because unfortunately then the resources don't get to where they need to be right here in countries like Palau. We're going to take that message back, and we're going to try to fix things.
Thank you. And from North Carolina, individual who's on the House Energy and Commerce Committee, and also has very much dealing with issues of agriculture coming from North Carolina, is Representative T.K. Butterfield.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Let me say good afternoon to all of you, and thank you very much for coming out to share this time with us. We in America believe in a strong free press, and you are a free press and you report the news, and we thank you so much for it. Let me thank the chairman for bringing us this way. He invited me to come on this trip, and I gladly accepted and glad that I did. It's a wonderful experience to be here, and I hope that I can be able to return again. To our diplomats at the U.S. Embassy, they do a great job in this country, as well as the NGOs who are on the ground, and so I want to thank them as well. We've had a delightful week meeting with the President, the Vice President, several ministers, and it's really been an education to behold, and so it's been a good visit. As I said, I am not on the committee. I'm on the Energy and Commerce Committee. I've spent 16 years dealing with energy issues and environmental issues, and I can tell you that your officials in this country are committed to directly addressing climate change and global warming. It's a worldwide phenomenon that no one is out of harm's way with respect to climate. And so I want to thank the country for its total commitment to climate. And I think your minister will be going to Egypt in just a few days to participate in a worldwide conference, but we're going to work together to eliminate carbon within the foreseeable future. Hopefully, I want to see it gone by 2040, but certainly by 2050, we need to be a carbon neutral planet. Thank you so much.
And lastly, but not least, is Representative Tom Swazi, who's a member of the Ways and Means Committee, which is the oldest committee in the United States of America. In fact, it's the only committee that is in the United States Constitution. Mr. Swazi.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for inviting me on the trip, and thank you again to the ladies and gentlemen of the press. We appreciate you being here. We want to send a very clear message to the people of Palau. We're grateful to them. We're grateful for the partnership that we've had with them, not back to World War II, but certainly since the Compact of Freely Associated States was first negotiated back in the 1980s. And it's been a great partnership, and it's been great support that we've received from the government and the people of Palau over these past 4 decades. As Congressman Meyer pointed out, we haven't been as engaged as we should have been until recently. And we want to thank the Biden administration, President Biden specifically, and his administration, because he said that this relationship and the relationship with the Pacific Islands is very, very important to the United States. And we need to up our game and spend more time and give more attention to these relations, especially as we negotiate a new compact of freely associated states. And one of the things that the chairman has pointed out, and something that the 3 countries involved, Micronesia and Palau and the Marshall Islands have done, is try to show more unity amongst them when negotiating with us. That's helpful to us, I believe, when they do that. So we don't negotiate the Compact of Freely Associated States. The people here don't. That's specifically been assigned. The president assigned someone specifically, a special envoy, to do that. Those negotiations are continuing. But we came here to listen specifically from the Palauan government about issues that they're most concerned about. So we can bring that back to our colleagues in the Congress, to our friends in the administration, and to try and help to educate people about the importance of this relationship. So thank you again to the people of Palau and to the Palau government for this long-standing partnership that we're looking forward to continuing for a long time to come.
And finally, let me just say, I want to say thank you to Palau and the people for its support of Taiwan, which is, I traveled to Taiwan with Speaker Nancy Pelosi when she came to visit. We were there, and we visited also because we wanted to make sure that we were engaged with the rest of the region: Singapore, Malaysia, Japan, South Korea. We think that we, to Tom's point, in the United States, are really we're present. We got friends, and we're going to show that we are friends. But the support of Palau in the United Nations, particularly against Russia's illegal, unprovoked, and unjustified war of choice in Ukraine. The United States is committed to fighting back against unilateral and violent attempts to overturn a rules-based international order in Ukraine, the Indo-Pacific, and around the world. We're going to lock in with that, folks. So I want to thank you for that, and we'll take questions.
Introduce yourself.
Thank you, sir, Mr. Chairman, and members of the Congressional delegations. My name is Cambes Casole, and I'm from Palau newspaper. So you touched on some of the themes on my question, but I'll just go ahead and ask this one. The delegation here is one of the several delegations that has visited this region. There's prior delegations from the U.S. House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate, visiting Australia, Solomon Island, PNG, Philippines, Taiwan, and also Palau. Just 2 weeks ago, another U.S. Congressional delegation headed by Chairwoman Debbie Wasserman-Schultz was here, and now you're here. So my question is, so all of a sudden then we start seeing these so many congressional delegations coming to this region and also Palau. So the question that comes to mind is, so what's happening? What would you, how would you explain these sudden visits coming to this region as well as Palau?
Because we, as I think Mr. Swazi stated and Mr. Meyer stated, we've got to show up. We're friends, but we haven't traveled. And so therefore, sometimes when you got a friendship, you can't have it continue to be just long distance. You got to show up.
Especially after COVID.
And so we wanted to make sure, and this you will see happening more and more. The relationship has been strong for over 40 years. And we want to make sure that the people of Palau know we're not just taking you for granted. That we know and learn and want to learn and understand. You know, we would not have had the opportunity to talk to every minister the way we did today if we didn't come. And as a result, there was things and knowledge that was given to us by the people that we talked to. And this region, the Pacific Islands and the South Pacific, the Indo-Pacific nations are important. I believe in multilateralism, coming together. And not just leaving things as some would think to some of our other allies, like Australia. We need to work together, not just leaving it to one country, but we now need to work together with our other countries and our other allies. So we've got to work with Australia as they deal with, and we work together in the Pacific Islands. Not only that, we need to bring some of our European allies. And as the president talked about, it's important for the economy here in Palau. Why? You diversify tourism that comes so that you have people coming from all over the world. So that you can create jobs right here and able to keep many of your young people who go to other areas to get education. They want to come back home so that you can preserve your culture, your language, your history. So we learned that by coming here. And that's something that we can, you know, when we leave here, we're going to visit Australia. And we're going to have dialogue and conversation with them. That's why we made sure that we had a charge that's on the ground and soon to have an ambassador. That's why we advocated on the legislative branch to have a special envoy, an Ambassador Young here. We got to show up.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Leilani Reclay. I'm with Island Times News here as well. My question is, Palau, as we all know, is in the midst of negotiation, rather not negotiation, review of our compact with the United States. And this would be the second review. The first one was held in 2009 and was implemented or signed in 2010. In the first review that we had with the United States, it was under the Democratic President Obama. and it was signed. But it took 10 years for it to be implemented. In fact, it was in 2018 that it was actually, you actually saw the money coming to help. In the meantime, between the 2010 and 2018, economics drove the country to open its doors to China. And as you may have read, China represented 80% of our tourism market around 2016, 2014, 15, and 16. So now we're in the same place again. And I understand that the United States have the elections, midterm elections next week, following week. So I'm assuming that maybe some of you will be running. If the Congress, I know you're here as a partisan delegation, but if the U.S. Congress, is taken over and become a Republican-led or majority, will this continue, or will we be waiting another 10 years to see the outcome of the negotiations?
Well, let me just say that Congress, in a bipartisan way, understood, the length of time, and that's why we fought for the appointment of a special envoy. And by having a special envoy, that will help speed it up and work out a negotiation that is quicker than happened previously. That's why we are supporting him, and I think that he has hit the ground running. Yeah, I know he's going to be here in a few weeks talking, and in the conversations we had with some of the officials of Palau, they are hopeful also. So we had a very open and honest conversation in that regard. I think that we understand that no matter which party that you come from, no matter which legislative branch, whether it's the Senate or the House that you come from, that it's mutually beneficial to get something done and get an agreement. Tom or anybody want to
I don't think there's a single member of Congress, Democrat or Republican, who does not believe in having a strong bond of friendship with this region. I don't know a single one. We want to continue to reassert and reinforce our friendship and our support for your country.
The original contract, the original compact was negotiated under the Reagan administration. And the review, you said, was under the Obama administration, and then some of the implementation took place under the Trump administration, I guess. So this is going to, this bipartisan demonstration that we have here today is really, regardless of what happens in the elections, we're going to continue to move this forward. And of course, the president will still be in office, and the executive branch is the ones who negotiate the contract.
I will follow up later.
Hello, Councilman Chairman. My name is Isaac Ronaldo with TMC News. The way we Palauans have seen the U.S. relationship, it seems like Palau is treated like a spoiled child, and other FAS countries a spoiled child. Something where you throw money at it and then hope it works out. One of the tenets of the compact was to make us independent, but and as you talk to people around the island, our kids are going and they're not coming back. We want them to come back, they're not coming back. Climate change, we suffer the effects of climate change on our islands. My question is, and it's good that you're starting to visit, so now you're getting the lay of the land, knowing what our issues are. And I know you can't really do anything about the compact with the executive branch doing, but legislation and laws that the U.S. passes, things like the COVID, the Pandemic Act, where it affected Palau. There was stuff that things in the law that Palauans were eligible for. Going forward, when you do the laws for climate change or laws about labor laws, I hope that, and I would hope that you would take Palau into consideration in some of those laws, because it just seems like decisions are being made in Washington, and lives of the issues that affect people here I never heard of before. One particular issue is veterans. Palau has a lot of veterans, and the closest where they can get help is Guam. You know, some of they've retired, but they can, and they stay in the United States because of the benefits, for the benefits, and they don't want to come home because they lose their benefits. And these are the issues that I hope moving forward, when you're working with legislation, I hope they can be part of the conversations. I'm sure it was more of a statement than a question, but.
No. Well, look, that's the reason why there is a negotiation with the compact. Not just the United States saying this is what's happening. It's a two-way street, and we talk about a mutual benefit. So that it's not just something that the United States benefits, but the people of Palau. And we have that kind of dialogue and cooperation in that regards. That's why I can tell you on the House Foreign Affairs Committee that we have made a specific intent to, that the Pacific Islands are top priority. And to make sure that we're working, we passing a bill, looking to pass one to specific island-focused priorities, which we try to make sure that we pass in this Congress. This is why in our conversation with your minister on climate, we talked together, we just finished and look forward to meeting with one another again in Egypt at COP27, and talked about how we're making sure that the voices of Palau and other island nations who suffer from climate change have a loud voice. Because there's one thing that everybody has in common. It's called the planet Earth. And if we don't listen to everybody and work it out, because we know that Palau is not causing the bad emissions, that's going up this planet. So we've got to work and listen to make sure that we preserve that. But also we're trying to, and we've been investing and trying to make sure that we bring further a number of individuals to the embassy here, so that they have support and can listen. And so I don't know whether Sajay wants to add anything there, but he's here on the ground, which we think is important in that regard, and to make sure that he has all of the personnel that he needs on the ground, so that we can make sure that your voices are heard and we're not just throwing money at something and then, because if you do that, that's not a good return on investment for us. We've got to make sure that we are all in this together. Mr. Sajay?
No, I would just add, although we have a very small embassy, it's very much a whole of government embassy. So we've got U.S. Agency for International Development, we've got the Natural Resource Conservation Service. Right before the Codel arrived, actually, I was at the hotel entrance, and we had a team from the U.S. Forestry Service who was leaving the hotel after spending a number of weeks on the island. Of course, Center for Disease Control, what they've done here for the last couple of years. So it's, as I said, it's a whole of government approach. It's a top priority for my government to be responsive, to listen, and to see what we can do to help. We are adding people. I was sent here specifically because we had a gap. We don't always send people to fill in gaps. We certainly did in the case of Palau. Our USAID presence is relatively new. Our Natural Resource Conservation Service is a brand new position. We have added, we don't have him here unfortunately today, but we actually have a media officer and a consular officer, someone who can help be responsive to Palauans as well. So we intend to be here. We intend to continue to work hard, and it will be very much a whole of government approach and listening to what's needed in Palau.
And I don't, to your question on veterans, I don't believe any of us serve on Veterans Affairs, though GK and I are both Army veterans, and obviously deeply grateful and appreciative of the commitments that Palauans have made to our military. I will say some of the challenges in terms of access and geography you mentioned are also problems we face in the United States. And we've been working to solve those issues with our veterans population within the continental US. And I think there are some of those solutions as we're looking at them that will help Palauans as well. So I think it's important when there are difficulties and challenges, and this is one of the reasons we need to show up, to hear what those are. And then we can also then, as we're looking for solutions in the United States, extrapolate those and bring those to Palauans as well.
Two more quick questions.
Can I say something on that real quick? Listen, the United States Department of Agriculture, according to President Whips, just offered a large grant for broadband expansion. In today's day and age, medical care for veterans shouldn't be bound by borders. We ought to be able to have access to the doctors to treat our veterans because our veterans have served us so well as both Palauans in both the United States. And we ought to do a better job at giving access to these veterans here in Palau with the resources they need, and that can be achieved through telehealth.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman and members of your delegation, my name is Salvador Talans. I'm from Palau Radio and Palau Television. Thank you very much for taking this visit to Palau. I think it's very important for Palauans to know that you are here because of the importance of our relationship based on the Compact of Free Association. Our president, in his recent visit to the United States, when he came back, he said the offer from the United States is unacceptable. But he never told the Palauan people what the United States offered for this negotiation. Nor he has shown Palauan people what is the Palauan people asking from the United States Congress in U.S. government. So many people in Palau, with the change of geopolitics in the region, are beginning to think about this free association, and I want to get your opinion on it, from moving from the free association to a treaty, where we will not be subject to the U.S. Congress budget law every year. We realize we get millions of dollars coming through our Ministry of Health, but they are restricted. For now, for example, they are paying each person getting vaccination for $25. But you go to our hospital, they're gonna a lot of medicine. Our CT scan is broken, it's not working. We are losing our nurses. Their pay is underpaid. And they are getting federal grant, getting paid, and they don't get Social Security when they retire, even though they're getting U.S. federal money to work here. Can you tell us what the United States has offered to Palau, and what Palau has offered to you in this negotiation, in the current negotiation, and what's your opinion if we move from the free associated states to treaty, because the free association expires on
2024.
That's economic assistance, financial assistance, but 2044 ends the compact.
Yes. Let me just say this real quickly. Number one, negotiations are taking place. And that's what we need to allow to happen. We've talked today to the president, and I'm hopeful that we can have negotiations, and they're hopeful too, by 2023. And when you're in hard negotiations, generally, and I often say, you don't do that in the press or out in the open, you negotiate. So that you can try to get to what is in the best interest of the people of Palau, as well as the best interests of the United States of America. Because they're mutual. We've got to work it together. So we've got to allow, and your president is working hard. He was clear to us also that the people of Palau will negotiate, and he will negotiate for their benefit. Likewise in the United States. And I am confident that we will end up someplace that everybody's issues are decided so that we can move forward. I think that ultimately the United States Congress does have to look at it. That's why we're here too. So that we can make sure that we're on the same board, that we understand why the negotiations took place and where the agreements. We asked the president that if there are specifics that he wants to share with us, that he thinks that the United States is not moving on, let us know, and we may be able to help that way. Vice versa, we're saying to the special envoy. And I think the special envoy, being part of those negotiations, is what has been different than what has happened in the past. It shows that we're trying to do things different that's going to benefit the people of Palau as well as the United States, and not just, our interests while we're here. We know about hospitals and the need. And one of the things that we talked about there was trying to figure out how we can have better partnerships. Talking about doing relationships with San Diego State University, creating a city to city relationship, sharing medical. Sometimes we have medical equipment that we can send here. So what I would say is that something is going to happen, I believe very positively, in 2023. And I'll open it up if anybody else wants to say anything.
I feel like there are some times where the impression is a negotiation is one party selling and one party buying, that whatever one gains, the other loses. And I think that type of a looking at our Compact of Free Association negotiation fails to take into account that we are stronger together, number one. But number two, in a lot of these areas, and both of you raised sort of these points, programs that are not working maybe as they were intended, where it's not even a question of how much, but of how something is being spent and how it's structured. And I think that's as important to take into consideration, that our mutual goals are shared, and the question and subject to some of these negotiations, which none of us in this room are a part of, but how do we just make sure that we are achieving those mutual objectives as quickly, as efficiently, and as effective a way as possible?
And let me just say that you'll be very encouraged to know that every single meeting we had, from the embassy, U.S. Embassy folks, from people here on the ground, from people from the Palauan government, from some of the community leaders that we met, the issues that you brought up are the issues that they brought up. People are concerned about the hospital. People are concerned about people leaving the country. People are concerned about young people. People are concerned about losing the culture. The things that you brought up are the same things that we've heard over and over again, which is why these trips, these fact-finding missions are so important. Because we all read our briefings before we got here, and when we read our briefings before we got here, there wasn't discussion about the hospital, but when we came here and we were on the ground, everybody brought it up. Everybody brought up the issues that you brought up, so that you should be encouraged to know that you're echoing the concerns of the people of Palau that we met with, the same type of issues, and now our job is to bring that back to the United States of America and share that information with other people so we can all try and get on the same page.
And I want allowing people to know and understand that finalizing these negotiations is one of the highest priorities of the Biden administration. We're just not talking about it. We really want to get it finalized in 2023.
Which is why our charge is here, because of a gap that was there. We're trying to plug the gaps. Plug the gaps. That's why he's here now. That's why the special envoy is here. Plugging those gaps that would have prevented this from happening. Want to add anything to that?
No, I agree 100%. A negotiation ends in a deal at some point, and deals don't work unless both sides are satisfied. And one thing that is not there's no disagreement whatsoever, is that this is a top priority for both governments. And as I said, the deal only works when both sides are happy. That's what the negotiation's about. They're ongoing, and we hope for an early resolution.
Okay, I know we gotta go, but I gotta go to the last question, because this lady here has her hand up.
Okay, we have to go get our plane, so you want to ask a question? Or?
I thought you were to ask.
No, we're gonna have, this is the last question.
Maybe the
Go on
last
ahead.
one.
Okay.
I'm the oldest in this group.
You're not the oldest in this group.
You must have been in the Milky Way, because you look very young.
I've been in this business for the last 50 years. since you thought all the talking that is all men. And I'm older than you, but maybe same age as you or older than you. Anyway, my name is Moses Ubuto. I'm a publisher of the newspaper. I'm also a retired government official and lawyer, but I'm not tired. So I'm a farmer now, pig farmer, and I'm also still involved in media, as talk show host and also writer. As a farmer now, I'm requesting you, can you insert a section in your law, especially on the U.S. agriculture program? Because I know your agriculture program is probably the best in the world. That's why you're feeding the rest of the world, man. So because this is our big problem now. We need support and we need expertise and also funding for the development of our agriculture. And as I've been involved in farming for 2 years, chicken and then pigs and also tapioca tower plants. We really need it. And I think this is one thing that your government, when you were our administrator in the last 70 years, they did not do a good job in this area. And under the trusteeship agreement, you promised the United Nations to develop us toward independence and economic self-sufficiency. When we began independence in 1994, that was not the case. So in this one case, I hope you can see to it that we, as a lawyer, as congressman, I used to be a congressman, and then insert a small section in the law, in your law, for an agriculture development for Palau. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And I'm going to just say quickly, I know that, for example, the Taiwanese will be here tomorrow. That's one of the things that they will be looking at is agriculture and what we can do there. And every dialogue and conversation, we'll be talking to the Charge and looking at what we can do in that regard. We understand the issue because we were here for that purpose, to listen. And it's something that the president talked about also, and understanding that they need to get it done. Soil is different here. That's why we thought that the Taiwanese may have, with the expertise that they have with the same kind of soil, that they may be able to do something. That's why, depending upon and working with our allies in the region also, to make a difference. But that is something that has been communicated to us also. Let me thank you all for being here. You will see a lot of members of the United States Congress coming by because we believe in the government and the people of here in Palau. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a safe trip back.
Thank you very much.